Five prophetic prophecies in the book of Daniel are contained in chapters 2, 7, 8, 9, and 11. The prophecy in chapter 9 is a time prophecy about the coming Messiah, his crucifixion, and a probation period for the Jewish people. The other prophecies deal with the world events from the time of Daniel until the second coming of Jesus and the end of the age. These prophecies all cover the same general nations and concepts in these prophecies. As the book of Daniel progresses, the prophecies expand and enlarge. The most detailed prophecy is in chapter 11. It is helpful to have an understanding of all the earlier prophecies before deciphering chapter 11. This chart outlines the symbols, the representative kingdoms, and the dates. Daniel 11:1 and 2. Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I, stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all, and by his strength through his riches he shall stir up all against the realm of Gracia. Cyrus, the first Persian king after the fall of Babylon, commenced his reign in 536 to 535 BC. In verse 2, it is stated that 4 kings would succeed Cyrus, with the 4th king being the wealthiest. Historical records confirm that this prophecy was fulfilled by the succession of Cambyses, Cyrus' son, Smerdis, Darius Hystaspes, and Xerxes. Xerxes, who ruled from 486 to 464 BC, emerged as the richest king subsequent to Cyrus. Daniel 11:3 and 4, And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. Darius III was defeated by Alexander the Great in 331 BC in the Battle of Issus, in which Alexander the Great secured a decisive victory over Darius III of Persia, fulfilling the prophecy of a mighty king. Alexander the Great's kingdom was divided into 4 parts at his death. His generals divided the kingdom. The kingdom of Macedon. This kingdom was centered around Macedonia and Greece and was ruled by the Antigonid dynasty. It was founded by Antigonus, one of Alexander's generals. The Seleucid Empire. This kingdom was centered around Syria and the Near East and was ruled by the Seleucid dynasty. It was founded by Seleucus, one of Alexander's generals. The Ptolemaic kingdom. This kingdom was centered around Egypt and was ruled by the Ptolemaic dynasty. It was founded by Ptolemy, one of Alexander's generals. The kingdom of Lysimachus. This kingdom was centered around Turkey. Verses 4 through 15 are historic conflicts and events between the geographic king of the north and geographic king of the south. The king of the north in these verses was the various Greek rulers around the areas Greece and Turkey versus king of the south, which were also rulers of Greek origin, whose primary location was in Egypt. These events, which have interest to historians and Bible scholars, and have been well delineated by many biblical scholars, but however, are somewhat tedious, and not very meaningful for our day. Therefore, we will not discuss these at this time. They do have value in showing their accuracy of biblical prophecies that have taken place in the past. We are therefore going to verse 16 where Rome is clearly beginning. Daniel 11:16. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. This verse gives a summary of future activity of the Roman kingdom from its rise to power, dominates the glorious land and consuming it by their hand, which is generally understood to refer to the conquest of Judea and destruction of the Second Temple in AD 70. Daniel 11:20. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom, but within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger, nor in battle. Luke 2:1 mentions a decree from Caesar Augustus that mandated a global tax, leading Mary and Joseph to Bethlehem, where Jesus was born, fulfilling the prophecy of Micah 5:2. Augustus, the first Roman emperor from 27 BC to 14 AD, established the Roman Empire and is known for his contribution to the Pax Romana, bringing stability, peace, and prosperity to the Roman world. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger, nor in battle. Augustus died of natural causes at the age of 75. Some sources suggest that he succumbed to a series of ailments, including a long-standing illness, old age, and possibly pneumonia. It is worth noting that Augustus had a relatively long and prosperous reign, ruling over the Roman Empire for 41 years. Daniel 11:21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably, and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Tiberius succeeded Augustus as emperor from AD 14 to 37, brought to power by the political maneuvers of his mother, Livia. Scholars have linked Tiberius to the prophecy of Daniel 11:21 due to his Machiavellian tactics and ability to gain power through manipulation. Tiberius' rise to power was not without conflict due to competing claims to the throne. Tiberius' rule was the so-called Tiberius retirement to Capri. In his later years, he withdrew to the island of Capri and became reclusive, leaving the administration of the empire largely in the hands of others. Rumors and accounts of his debauchery and cruelty circulated during this time, although the extent to which these stories were true is debated among historians. Daniel 11:22. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the Prince of the Covenant. In the Bible, the Prince of the Covenant is Jesus Christ. The term is mentioned in Daniel 11:22, which prophesies that during the reign of the Roman Emperor Tiberius, the Prince of the Covenant would be broken. This is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, as he is referred to as Messiah the Prince in Daniel 9:25 and is put to death during the reign of Tiberius. See also Matthew 27:33-50. Daniel 9:26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. This part of the verse was fulfilled by the Jesus crucifixion. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. This is the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. In Daniel 11:22, and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, as in Daniel 9 refers to the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. Daniel 11:23 and onward is therefore after the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. Daniel 8:9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great, toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. Pagan Rome. Daniel 8:10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Pagan Rome became papal Rome. Daniel 8:11. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. The duties of our heavenly high priest to forgive our sins was usurped by confession to our earthly priests in the Roman papal system. Thereby the heavenly high priest ministry of Jesus was cast down, and the truth about salvation by grace alone was cast down by this system. Hebrews 8:1-2. Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest, who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary, and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched, and not man. Daniel 8:12. And an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced, and prospered. This is medieval papal Rome. Pagan Rome is declining and papal Rome is rising and will take over its role as king of the north in this prophecy. We would therefore expect Daniel 11 to enlarge and expand on this idea at this point in the prophecy. Daniel 11:23. And after the league made with him he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up, and shall become strong with a small people. The word league in Greek is shabar, and carries the idea of by means of spells to fascinate, and charmer or makes an agreement or begin to work together. That is pagan Rome and Christian Rome are now coming together. We see who this is in verse 24. The prophecy describes how Christians who were formerly Greek philosophers would combine pagan and Christian ideas, advancing their teachings in the most prosperous Rome cities, allowing the Roman Church to become strong and prominent. Acts 20:29. For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. Acts 20:30. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them. Acts 20:31. Therefore watch, and remember, that by the space of 3 years I ceased not to warn every one night and day with tears. Daniel 11:24. He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, and spoil, and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. The prophecy describes how Christians who were formerly Greek philosophers would combine pagan and Christian ideas, advancing their teachings in the most prosperous Rome cities, allowing the Roman Church to become strong and prominent. Papal Rome's traditions and ceremonies, not coming from the apostles, but rather from paganism, went beyond anything its predecessors had done. These spoils, referred to as rich in pagan culture quoting the Church Father Clement, became Papal Rome's doctrines, taken from pagan philosophers. The prophecy also speaks of the incorporation of pagan philosophy, referred to as devices, into the Roman Church's teachings, undermining biblical truths that were the strongholds. The teaching of the immortal soul and the change of the worship day from Sabbath to the day to the sun god of the pagan, Sunday, were some of the first change in the apostolic faith. The gospel of salvation by faith alone became salvation by works of faith, incorporating the pagan idea of appeasing God by rituals, repetitive prayers and sacraments. Justin Martyr began his writing while teaching at his Christian philosophy school in Rome in AD 148. Opposition to Judaism was common among church leaders in his day. However, Justin Martyr was hostile towards Jewry and regarded Jews as an accursed people. His anti-Judaic polemics have been cited as an origin of Christian anti-Semitism. However, his views elaborated in the dialogue with Trypho were tame compared to those of John Chrysostom and others. Daniel 11:24 He shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, and spoil, and riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. These Gentile Christian fathers set up school in the prominent cities, fattest places, like Rome, Antioch, and Alexandria. Justin Martyr began his writing while teaching at his Christian philosophy school in Rome in AD 148 AD. According to the prophecy, formation of a union between Christianity and paganism would last for 360 years. In Daniel 4 verse 25 it says, "That they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee, till thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will." The king is driven from men for 7 years. Therefore a time in biblical prophecy equals a year. And there are 360 days in a biblical year. A day equals a year in biblical prophecy. Therefore this prophecy is about 360 years. This union was completed in 508 AD when Clovis, king of the Salian Franks, converted to papal Christianity, indicating the triumph of Catholicism over both apostolic Christianity and paganism. This also fulfilling Paul's warning, "Men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them." The Church Fathers were non-Jewish and had education in Greek philosophy. The early Church Fathers emerged primarily from Gentile, non-Jewish backgrounds and were educated in the cultural and intellectual milieu of the Greco-Roman world. They engaged with Greek philosophy, literature, and rhetoric, drawing upon philosophical concepts and language to articulate Christian theology and defend the faith against various challenges. While there were Church Fathers who had some knowledge of Jewish traditions and scriptures, such as Justin Martyr and Origen, their education and philosophical influences were largely rooted in Greek thought. The Church Fathers' writings reflect the synthesis of Christian doctrine with Greek philosophical concepts, aiming to bridge the gap between Greek intellectual traditions and Christian faith. Interpreting the church in Smyrna as being in AD 100 to 312 and the Diocletian persecution of AD 303 to 313 as being the tribulation of 10 years as in Revelation chapter 2. Diocletian, 245 to 311 AD, in 303 AD, he issued a series of edicts that ordered the destruction of Christian churches and the confiscation of Christian property. Many Christians were also imprisoned, tortured, and executed. It is estimated that between 2,000 and 3,000 Christians were killed during the persecution. Christians continued to be persecuted until 313 AD, when Constantine and Licinius issued the Edict of Milan, which granted full religious freedom to Christians. Constantine was born into a pagan family, and he was a worshipper of the sun god Mithras. Mithraism was a popular religion in the Roman Empire during the 3rd century AD, and it was known for its emphasis on military discipline and loyalty to the emperor. However, Constantine's conversion to Christianity did not mean that he abandoned his belief in Mithras. In fact, there are many similarities between Mithraism and Christianity, and some scholars believe that Constantine may have incorporated some elements of Mithraism into his own Christian beliefs. For example, both Mithraism and Christianity emphasize the importance of baptism, and both religions have a savior figure who dies and is resurrected. Additionally, the Mithraic initiation ceremony involves 7 grades, which is similar to the 7 sacraments of the Catholic Church. It is possible that Constantine saw Mithraism as a way to bridge the gap between Christianity and the Roman pagan tradition. By incorporating some elements of Mithraism into his own Christian beliefs, Constantine may have been able to make Christianity more appealing to the Roman people. This is the Arch of Constantine, commemorated the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 AD. Interestingly, there are many symbols of the sun god Mithras on this arch, but no Christian symbols. Constantine was later reported to have converted to Christianity prior to this battle. Constantine had a vision before the Battle of Milvian Bridge in 312 AD, in which he saw a cross in the sky with the words in hoc signo vinces, "In this sign, you will conquer." After his victory in the battle, Constantine converted to Christianity, and he made it the official religion of the Roman Empire. Daniel 11:25 and 26. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army, and the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. Constantine, leader of the new Christian religion and of Rome's civil ruler, shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south, pagan Maxentius, with a great army, and the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army, but he, pagan Maxentius, shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him. Maxentius drowned in the Tiber River during the retreat, and Constantine became the sole ruler of the Western Roman Empire. This victory was a turning point for Christianity, as Constantine subsequently issued the Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which granted toleration to Christians and eventually led to the official recognition of Christianity as a religion in the Roman Empire. King of the South, pagan Maxentius, Diocletian. Maxentius was co-empire with Diocletian and continued Christian persecution after Diocletian dies in 311. In 312 AD, Constantine and Maxentius met in battle at the Milvian Bridge, just outside Rome. According to Christian tradition, before the battle, Constantine had a vision of the cross in the sky with the words in this sign, "Conquer." Constantine then ordered his soldiers to paint the Chi symbol, a monogram of the first 2 letters of Christ's name in Greek, on their shields, and they were victorious in the battle. Notice the hats on the Arch of Constantine constructed to commemorate his victory over Maxentius. It is the cap that Mithra is wearing in the bull-slaying fresco, and it even made its way to the French Revolution, where it was worn as a symbol of liberty and freedom. It is even worn by storybook dwarves. Mithra is wearing the Phrygian cap to slaying the bull. Daniel 11:27. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. In AD 313, Constantine and Licinius met in Milan, Italy, and issued the Edict of Milan, which granted religious freedom to Christians throughout the Roman Empire. However, their meeting was not entirely peaceful, as they had different political ambitions and tensions between them began to rise. Licinius, in particular, was plotting to murder Constantine, who was also planning to overthrow Licinius. In AD 316 and 317, 2 battles took place between Constantine and Licinius, in Cybele and Mardia, respectively. Constantine emerged victorious but not decisively, and they eventually negotiated a peace settlement in Serdica, modern-day Sofia, Bulgaria. This settlement allowed Licinius to remain in power as co-emperor in the east, while Constantine ruled in the west. This verse refers to an end of war between Constantine and Licinius at a time appointed. Daniel 11:28. Then shall he, Constantine, return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits, and return to his own land. The word riches can refer to various forms of wealth, including property, goods, and supplies. In AD 316, during his campaigns at Cybele and Mardia, Constantine gained a great deal of territory, wealth, and resources. And his heart shall be against the holy covenant. After Constantine's victory over Licinius, In AD 321, Constantine issued a law that required people to rest from labor on Sunday, in keeping with the wishes of the church leaders. This law was a political attempt to unite the empire and appease both heathens and Christians. However, it was a direct attack on God's holy covenant. It pleased both the pagan sun worshipper and the Roman Church. But it violated the holy covenant, which is the Ten Commandments. In Deuteronomy 4:13, "And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them upon 2 tables of stone. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy." Constantine's decision to legislate Sunday was supported by corrupt bishops who sought to gain power and influence over the people. The last part of Daniel 11:28, which refers to he shall do exploits, and return to his own land, is interpreted as describing Constantine's attack on the Donatists, a heretical sect of early Christianity founded by Donatus Magnus. The Donatists refused to submit to the authority of the Catholic bishops, which led to a conflict with the Roman Church. Constantine's decision to use his armies to do exploits against the Donatists was another attempt to consolidate his power and gain the support of the Church. Donatists, a nonconformist sect of early Christianity founded by Donatus Magnus. During the persecutions of Christians by the Roman Emperor Diocletian, in order to avoid torture, exile, or death, some church leaders turned over their scriptures, liturgical books, and other church goods to the imperial authorities. Such people became known as traitors, surrenderers. Donatus taught the church leaders needed to be rebaptized and their church rituals performed by traitors were invalid. He would not submit to the hierarchy of the church. His followers in northern Africa were called Donatists. Until the one who restrains it is taken out of the way. With the support of the Roman government, the church began to use the state to enforce its will. However, the final decisions were still made by the emperor. This dynamic is reflected in 2 Thessalonians 2:7, which speaks of the mystery of iniquity that is already at work, but which will be restrained until the one who restrains it is taken out of the way. Constantine's Sunday Law. On March 7, 321 AD, Constantine approved the Day of the Sun as a day of rest for the Western Roman Empire. It was a law enacted to honor the sun god by requiring rest for those who lived in the city. Those in the country were exempt from it. As we look at this first law, there are no references to the God of the Bible or Jesus. It did not force anyone to worship anything. Moreover, it contains no references to the seventh-day Sabbath of the Bible. Conclusion: as we survey all the primary sources presented in this article, we can see that Constantine protected Sabbath observance. He continued the protection started by earlier rulers such as Augustus, and those protections continued to be protected by later emperors such as Theodosius II and Justinian. These protections had to be extended in some form or fashion to Christians who observed the Sabbath. The majority of Christians at this time still observed the seventh-day Sabbath by fasting. The Sabbath was certainly the majority practice among most Christians until the 4th and even 5th centuries. The change of worship day for Sabbath to Sunday did not occur overnight. It took centuries to be developed. Note letter from Augustine to Jerome in 405 AD. Letter from Augustine to Jerome: for if we say that it is wrong to fast on the seventh day, we shall condemn not only the Church of Rome, but also many other churches, both neighboring and more remote, in which the same custom continues to be observed. If, on the other hand, we pronounce it wrong not to fast on the seventh day, how great is our presumption in censuring so many churches in the East, and by far the greater part of the Christian world. The greater part of the Christian world still considered the Sabbath a day of rest and enjoyment, whereas some of the Western churches considered it a fast day. Other church historians from the same time period affirm the widespread prevalence of the Sabbath. Daniel 11:29. At the time appointed he shall return, and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former, or as the latter. Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Kittim shall come against with him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant, so shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. The phrase "at the time appointed" in Daniel 11:29 refers to the final conflict between Constantine and Licinius, during which Constantine would return and come against Licinius from the south. This conflict was not like the earlier attacks on paganism by Christian philosophers like Justin Martyr, nor was it like the military conflict against Maxentius. Instead, it was a naval engagement, in which Constantine assembled the ships of Kittim, which were from the western coastlands, to overthrow Licinius's navy. The ships of Kittim did not come against Licinius, they came with Constantine's navy. The Hebrew word bo can mean to go or come. It has a wide variety of meaning applications. Daniel 11:17 in the KJV version, bo is translated, enter with. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of women, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither be for him. In harmony with this it is translated in Daniel 11:30. For the ships of Kittim shall come with him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant, so shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Daniel 11:30. In September 18, AD 324, Constantine defeats Licinius at the Battle of Chrysopolis. With his victory over the pagan rival, the king of the south is defeated and the king of the north turns his attention to war against the remnant people of God. He shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. After his victory over Licinius, Constantine showed his indignation against the holy covenant by meddling in religious affairs. In AD 325, he presided over the Council of Nicaea, the first ecumenical council of the Roman Church, which exalted him as the honorary president of the highest assembly of the Church. This council decided to follow the Roman custom of celebrating Easter on Sunday, which was a subtle attempt to undermine the Sabbath commandment. Constantine his dissatisfaction with the Jewish people and their customs. Eusebius, a religious historian and friend of Constantine, commented on their work, saying that they had transferred all the things prescribed for the Sabbath to the Lord's Day. The next step was to get the Roman Empire out of the way. That's consolidating more power in the Roman papacy. This is as predicted in Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians 2:7 For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. The Ostrogoths took control of Italy in 493, when their king, Theodoric the Great, killed King Odoacer at a banquet. Odoacer had deposed the last emperor of the Western Roman Empire, Romulus Augustus, in 476. Arian Ostrogoths also needed to be out of the way for papal dominance of the Western Roman Empire. There were two major battles between Belisarius and the Ostrogoths in Rome in 538. The first battle, known as the First Siege of Rome, took place from March to August 537. The Ostrogoths, led by King Vitiges, besieged Rome, but Belisarius, the Byzantine general, was able to defend the city. The First Siege of Rome was a turning point in the Gothic War. The Ostrogoths had previously been victorious, but their defeat at Rome showed that they were not invincible. The First Siege of Rome was a long and difficult battle. However, Belisarius was able to use his superior military skills to hold off the Ostrogoths. He also made use of the city's fortifications, which were in good condition. The second battle, known as the Second Siege of Rome, took place from October 538 to March 539. The Ostrogoths again besieged Rome, but this time they were defeated by Belisarius. The Second Siege of Rome confirmed the Byzantine victory and led to the Ostrogoths losing control of Italy. The Second Siege of Rome was shorter than the first, but it was also more decisive. Belisarius was able to defeat them in a series of battles outside the city walls. The victory of the Byzantines at Rome was a major turning point in the Gothic War. It showed that the Ostrogoths were not invincible, and it led to their eventual defeat. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 was a law issued by the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I. This law and authority could not take full effect because the Arian Ostrogoths has conquered the Western Roman Empire in 476. It recognized the Bishop of Rome as the head of the Church. The law also gave the Bishop of Rome the right to appoint bishops. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 gave the Pope a great deal of economic power, as it allowed the Church to own property and to hold land. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 gave the Pope a source of income, as it allowed the Church to collect taxes and tithes. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 gave the Pope control over his own personnel, as it allowed him to appoint bishops. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 gave the Pope the authority to discipline his own members, as it allowed him to try clergy in ecclesiastical courts. The Pragmatic Sanction of 535 gave the Pope the power to exclude people from his community, as it allowed him to excommunicate people from the Church. The Cambridge History of Christianity, Volume 3, Early Medieval Christianity.